Welcome back to the SCIF, guys. You can see we're still having connectivity problems, which is really odd. It makes no sense to me, Stu. I don't know what is going on, but right around 6 o'clock this afternoon, my internet fell off a cliff. I mean,
just the man keeping you down, Matt.
Well, no. If you've been following what's going on around the country with all of these the failures with major carriers and mass outages, I think it has something to do with this. Getting closer to the election and everything else. We're talking about these communication blackouts and everything along those lines. Anyways, we are the Green Beret Life. We're a 501c3. We aim to get veterans into the outdoors. We teach firearms, pistol, rifle, shotgun. If you're interested, you can check us out. If you want to email us, please get a hold of us at TheGreenBeretLife@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, there is no stupid questions, okay? If you want to know something about the military, about contracting, about any of this stuff, get a hold of us there. Please don't be afraid to ask a question. There are no stupid questions. If you haven't been around this stuff, you have no form of reference, okay? So it takes us a while to get back, but please do. We will get back to you, so please email us. We got a pretty busy show tonight. We're not going to stay on YouTube either. We're going to probably get off YouTube relatively quick. Again, we're just here to give the old single finger salute to YouTube, right? But Stu, what do we got on tap for tonight?
We've got several things. You've got a video that you're going to set up to explain some theories going around with this political class we seem to have found ourselves with.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing some looking, and you guys may have seen the video with J.D. Vance and Martha Raddatz. We want to talk about that a little bit with the what's going on in Aurora, Colorado, and how the media and the local politicians are running cover for the Democrat Party. We've looked to. There's been a bit of a story as well with Kamala Harris's 60 Minutes interview, where it appears that 60 Minutes straight up completely changed her answer to a question to try and prevent her from looking like a complete and total, just babbling lack of her normal word salad whenever she's asked a question. And they made the mistake of airing the actual answer during a teaser for the interview, and then during the interview there was the edited answer, which was, it looks like, actually taken from a different part of the interview altogether. So it was not as though they narrowed it down for time. They completely edited and removed the answer she gave and plugged in an answer to another question into that spot, because she looked like she normally does when she's asked, a question she doesn't know the answer to. We've got here where the FBI has been quietly revising the violent crime statistics, because we're told every time anyone brings up about these illegal immigrants and crime and gangs, and we're told how violent crime is down. And it's real easy for it to be down when there are certain population centers, certain cities that don't even report to the FBI anymore. Then they take and change the definitions of things to where, oh, well, I'm sorry, that's not a violent crime. That's not really a violent crime, so we're not going to count that. So they do as they do. They manipulate the data. They change the format. They change the definitions of things. Like that's what the leftists do. They like to change the definitions of things and say, see, that's not happening because we changed the definition of it. But there's a good amount of stuff. There's some more news on the Vista Outdoor deal that we've been following for, I think as long as I've been doing the show with you, Matt, which is coming up on almost a year.
Yeah.
We've been catching the news on that one and bringing it to you. There's some more news on that, and that's really it. We've got a kind of a little bit across the board here, a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of attempted gun control that Okeechobee, Florida, tried to implement in the wake of Helene that got squashed pretty darn quickly, and Gun Owners of America did the Lord's work down there and calling these people to task on their attempt. And amazingly, everyone was very apologetic, and it was a misunderstanding, and they would never try to do exactly what their notice put out that they were going to do. So we've got that. We've got, like I said, we've got a good bit of news around the board, and I don't know if there's anything in particular you wanted to try and talk about on YouTube, or if you wanted to.
I don't want to talk about shit on YouTube. YouTube sucks, and they're part of this whole deep state apparatus that is trying to control communications. As we get closer, they'll decide what can be talked about on here or not. You're going to say, "Oh, it's a private company." Bullshit. They've done projects. They've taken money from the federal government. Yeah. They don't get to wave that flag anymore. So basically, anytime they do that, they're violating our First Amendment rights. We just need a government class that is there to serve the people in Washington, D.C. So we need to get out, vote. If it's open right now, get out there, take people with you, vote Republican, straight down the line. We still
and I know a lot of us, and Matt and I've talked about this before. A lot of us, we're just because it's not the way it's done, we're kind of against the early voting, the mail-in voting, things like that. You know, if depending on where you live, getting in there and doing the early voting may be the best thing to just kind of sidestep some of the shenanigans that may or may not be happening during the election day. Just think about where you are, what's going on in your area, kind of look back at how the election ran last year, because I can probably bet it's going to play out similar to where, similar to the same as it did last year, where you are. They're going to try and run the same schemes and the same scams and do the same thing that worked for them last year. So if you were in Arizona and the voting machines were down for hours at the time because the wrong size paper was purchased, it may be worth it to look into doing some early voting.
You got to early vote. You don't early vote, you're going to wind up on election day where shenanigans are going to take place. Period. Amen. So we have to beat them at their game. So if you want to get your vote, most states you can track your vote, early vote, track the vote, have it done. With that being said, do we have anybody we need to talk to here on YouTube? We need to try to get a link or anything, get them over to Rumble.
The link should be down in the description. Come over. We haven't had anybody post anything in the comments, so I'm not sure if they're there, just not talking in the chat. But if you are there, follow that link over to Rumble, where we can discuss things a little more freely, because we already have politicians. I think Adam Schiff was one we talked about last week, or maybe the week before, already calling for basically social media to censor what they've determined is misinformation, malinformation, whatever. And like we've discussed before, the misinformation, the conspiracy theory,
pretty much all the lefty politicians and the mainstream media are calling for that.
And we've discussed it before. The misinformation and the conspiracy theories and all that's what they're calling them today. And then in about 2 months, it comes out, well, it was an exaggeration. Well, was it an exaggeration, or was it a lie, or was it incorrect? Which one is it? Because if it's an exaggeration, that means that the core of it was true. The details may have been, misconstrued, but the truth of the matter is there. But they don't want to. They're not going to do that. They're going to paint it as misinformation, paint it as a conspiracy theory, and hope the news cycle passes it over. And then they don't have it. They won't address it again. It'll never be addressed in the way it should.
All right. With that, the pin is pulled, smoke is popped. Let's go on over to Rumble.